Hello everyone and welcome to Do You Like Films? Now, today I'm joined by Shaun Crehan. I can't remember how to say your last name.
Crerand. Something like that.
Okay, well that's Shaun.
How I've been saying it all my life.
Well, say hello, Shaun.
Hello, Shaun.
And where does the C go? Nowhere, because it's Mikey and he's right here.
Hello, how are you?
Not too bad, thanks.
And you are, sir?
Oh, my name is Curtis Scott and I come from a land down under.
Where women go and men plunder?
Yes, yep.
Okay.
Yeah. Somalia. So basically today we're going to be talking about our good and bad experiences at the cinema. So I think we should start off probably on a bad note, and then by the end we could have a good note and, can leave the podcast with a nice happy feeling.
We'll try our best.
Yeah.
A nice happy ending. Everybody loves a happy ending, Shaun.
I sure do. Yeah.
And speaking of happy endings, we were talking just before the podcast, and you mentioned something about a happy ending in a cinema. Or do you want to get to that later on?
We'll get to that later
Should we
on.
tease that later on?
The handy J can be later on, not right now.
I've also got a hand job anecdote. Is this going to be...
Why have I never had a hand job in a cinema?
I don't know.
Oh, well, you said I had.
Oh, okay.
It's giving.
Why have I never given a hand job in a cinema?
No worries. So let's start with Shaun. Let's go for a bad antidote, please.
Well, antidote.
Antidote.
Anecdote.
That's the one.
Anecdote.
Anecdote. It
So I've
sounds
got
quite German if you say that.
Quite a few bad experiences, but one was quite recently. It was during watching The Purge election year. Don't know if you've seen it.
Yeah,
Not a bad
I saw
movie.
that one. It's not too bad.
Yeah, thought it was okay. So I go in there. I'm by myself. It was one of these Friday nights where the missus is away. So I'm like, going to watch a couple of movies. I think I watched Bad Moms as well, but we won't talk about that. We'll talk about The Purge. And I sit in my normal sort of seat, a couple rows from the back, dead centre. I like that. I think it's nice and framed. You get a good sound. And I'm 2 seats away from just a chap. And he seems a nice enough guy, but he's sitting there, he's enjoying the movie, but he's laughing at everything. And I mean, this is not a particularly funny movie. There are funny moments. People do crack jokes. There's a black guy who says a lot of black guy things.
I fucking hated that in that film. That was the worst thing.
And
People loved, in my screen that I watched it, people loved anything he said that was like anything about white people being...
I own a convenience store.
Anything about white people just being rubbish. People were like, love it. And I wanted to go, what if I said it about a black guy? What would happen then? Just silence. Yeah, this is where I kick off. No more... Sorry.
Right, I'll jump in here before it gets all political. So this guy, he's 2 seats down, and I give him the benefit of the doubt for the first 10, 15, 20 minutes. I'm thinking, we're getting into the story. He's enjoying what he's seeing on screen.
What kind of laugh was it, Shaun?
It was a really, really sort of subdued, but like a small giggle. It's more like a...
That's
I looked
really
over. He
seedy
wasn't
kind of
doing any handy J's at all.
right.
But it was more this, when you sort of laugh under your breath, but it's an audible one, where it's more like a...
that kind of...
So it sounds like he's sort of mumbling to himself, but he's kind of laughing. And you give him the benefit of the doubt. You just think that's fine. He may have found that funny. That's fine. Okay, somebody got shot in the head. I can see where that might be funny. I'll let you off. And then something was just like, Madam Counsellor, we need to get you to the safe room. And he's like, I'm like, what?
To be fair, I found that quite funny.
Well, because the way I said it.
Yeah, I think so.
And just weird things. Somebody would be walking down a corridor and he'd be like, so I'm just like, right, okay. And I do the British thing where I'm just like, just sort of...
Suck it up and wait, I think.
I'm just exhaling to me. He knows I'm talking about him, and he's sitting there going, and so I go, so I'm like, fuck this, and I just go sit at the back of the cinema, and I'm just like, I cannot believe it. So I can't hear him for the whole movie, and then the movie goes silent, and I just hear from the corner. Boy, do I want to murder you. And it wasn't a particularly packed cinema, and it was dumb luck that I just managed to sit near this guy, and it was just so annoying. But I'm so sort of passive aggressive and British that I didn't just go to him, come on, mate, can you stop laughing, please? Because that's ridiculous. That wasn't even funny. So I did the whole thing where I'm exhaling and I clear my throat, and then I sort of made a note of sort of standing up really, not violently, like politely, but like enough that he knew that I was moving away from him, but he probably didn't get the idea because he was sitting there going.
That same thing happened to me recently. I was watching Central Intelligence with The Rock and Kevin Hart.
You was watching it with The Rock?
They were there. It was at the screening. And I didn't want to see it at all. I went for a friend because he loves those two.
Kevin Hart's comedy,
Kevin Hart,
right?
yeah, Kevin Hart's comedy.
Yeah.
And there was this guy, but it was actually entertaining for me because this guy was laughing just at Kevin Hart existing. Like he'd walk on the street and he'd go, ah, ha, ha, ha. Every single time, just anything was said. And then someone went, shut the fuck up. And that was the funniest thing in the film. Like, without doubt. I was dying. And he actually said it's a comedy. I think it's a Family Guy sketch where the seagull's laughing. And he went, it's a comedy, you're meant to laugh. And he went, not fucking everything. And then they went out and complained about him. Because we work at the cinema, I asked the manager that was on afterwards what they said. And he said, he keeps on laughing really loud. And it sounds like just like you be like, well, it's a comedy. But when you're in it and someone is just going, ah, ha, ha, at fucking anything, it is the most infuriating thing in the world. So I'm with you on just how annoying.
I feel really bad now because we're complaining about people laughing. I watched Alan Partridge, Alpha Papa in a cinema, which had about 20 people in it. And I think about 18 of those people didn't know Alan Partridge. I was the one that did, and my girlfriend knew, but she doesn't find him that funny. And everything, I've got a really loud laugh, and it goes a little bit high pitched in certain points. If I find something really funny, and I found that movie really, really funny, and I just imagine that the people in the cinema were just like, who is this idiot? Like, will he just shut up?
Sometimes it
But
can add to
I was
it.
just really enjoying myself,
Really
and I was loving what I was watching, but I kind of felt bad for the other people in the cinema. So I kind of understand where other people are coming from, but this guy, when I was watching it, was...
On a noise kind of factor, though, like kids in a cinema. One time, they were running around, so I set traps and like the whole way.
Were you watching Home Alone?
Nah, well, I was thinking about it in my mind, but I just think, threw the old Coke bottle on the floor and popcorn. One kid tripped over, and I was like, my job's done here.
Landmine, bear trap.
And then I was just like, shh. And that was it. Yeah, that wasn't a bad moment for me. I think that was a good moment.
When I was watching 22 Jump Street, there was a girl who just wouldn't shut the fuck up every time Channing Tatum came on screen. The first 10 minutes, I was thinking, oh, she's just getting out of her system. Like,
Yeah, you do give people the benefit of the doubt for a while,
yeah, you
don't
do. We're English, we have to.
And you're thinking, like, oh, she'll stop. And then after an hour in, like, there was a scene where he had an earbud, and he used this earbud. And then I heard her go, it was silent, go, I wish I was that earbud. And I just said to my girlfriend, I was like, we're leaving. I can't do it anymore. At one stage, I went, are you going to keep talking? And she just ignored it. And then I felt like a gump because I'm looking at her going, you going to talk? Oh, yeah? Well, I'm leaving. I get this for free, love. I'll come back another time. But yeah, people in the cinema talking does my fucking head in.
Yeah,
I've only ever raised
F-bomb.
my voice once or twice in a cinema. I was watching Bad Grandpa, the Johnny Knoxville Jack.
Yeah.
And there's this girl behind me. She comes in late. She's sitting there, and there's not really much of a plot to follow. It's Johnny Knoxville in an old man suit shitting up a wall and falling out of amusement cars and stuff like that. And I was like, there's not really much to follow. And there's a part, I don't want to spoil the movie. Fuck it. There's a bit at the end where they sort of roll up, I guess, what is a dead body, and they throw it off a bridge. And the girl's behind me, she's going, that's not even a real body. It's like, no fucking way! We're watching a movie! This is not Johnny Knoxville in real life pretending to be a bad grandpa.
He does look a little bit like a serial killer, though.
Yeah, but she was just doing these things, obvious things, basically, we're all watching on a massive screen. We can all see what's happening, but I can just hear her behind me just going, he just shut up the wall. I just fell off that thing, and I just went, do you think? And then I just sort of felt really self-conscious, and I was like, everybody's looking at me. I feel really bad now. And then she just didn't shut up anyway, so it's one of those things where you're like, I've tried raising my voice now, just sit there and ignore. And then
sometimes you feel like you're the only one that can hear it as well, so you look like with that girl when I shouted, you're going to keep talking, I look like the mental one, because no one else has said anything, so I just look like I'm talking to someone, there's an empty seat next to me, and I'm just going, shut up, Alan.
I can't believe they let special people in the cinemas.
Oh, that's controversial.
Yeah, a little bit
Lower
controversial.
the tone.
So what about some
Racist.
good moments in the cinema world?
Well, a good moment would be in a similar vein. I was watching Lights Out, and it's a really crappy horror movie, and I don't get why young teens love to flock to these movies because they're always really bad, and I think they just like to sort of have that weird scare factor. So I'm watching
Facebook.
it. Yeah.
Cool.
Oh, it's a bit scary. Oh, this is really funny, isn't it?
Oh, love
And
you.
there was a group just sitting at the front, and they were just chatting. And everybody was so stiff upper lipped, and we were all just going, oh, I can't believe they're chatting. And one guy, he's a hero. He just goes, "Can you shut the fuck up?" And like the whole cinema just went, that's pretty good one. And then he didn't say a thing throughout the whole movie, and I was like, this guy is my
This is when I
hero.
tell you, I was that man.
Oh, really?
I
Brilliant.
was in that screen.
You're my hero, Michael.
One of my happiest moments was I watched Taken 3, which is one of the worst films I've ever seen. And at the end, I clapped for it and got about 10 people clapping.
Oh, really?
And I just thought, I've just watched a piece of shit, and I've got people going, actually, that deserves a clap. Taken 3.
Taken 3. Jesus. One of my good memories was when I was younger. I can't remember what I was watching. It was probably some bullshit animation film or something like that. But went down the side.
Is this where you got a hand, Jay?
No, I was young. young. Not,
So you gave the hand, Jay, then?
yeah, I think so. I was giving it to someone, but I put my hand down the side, pulled out a £20 note, didn't I? I was like, oh, £20.
That's very good.
Then I went to Toys R Us and bought Digimon card packs. Like, it was a good
I
day.
bet as a young kid, you were just like, I feel like
I was
I
like,
found
I've
like a
got
grand.
this card, I've got this card. Yeah, man. But I just spent it all on Digimon.
That's pretty good.
About that 20 quid now. Oh, howdy.
Yeah.
Before you,
Bills,
Yeah.
petrol,
I
adult things.
filled up on the way over here, actually. That was like 30 quid, so that wouldn't have even covered it. I know.
Before you worked at the cinema, did you ever go and see films on your own?
Not
No,
that
not
often.
really. I
I
wouldn't
would a
think
few
so.
times. I remember watching A Million Ways to Die in the West by myself and then just regretting it, just being like,
It's got good cameos there. It's about it, that
yeah,
film.
First,
Bad kids.
first one I ever watched was Lego Movie on my own. And I remember, I think it was like an Orange Wednesdays, and it was almost like it was hilarious because everyone in there was a couple, and it was just me on my own. I remember being very self-conscious, feeling, oh my God, I'm a loser. But then actually having one of the best experiences ever. Just I loved the film, and it was actually quite nice, that feeling of just enjoying something on your own. So since then I've I always, when someone would come into the cinema on their own, I'd be a bit like, oh God, feel sorry for you. But now I'm like, yeah, well done,
yeah,
good for you.
Yeah.
rock on.
Getting out there.
And I've never seen a film with a friend since.
Have you not?
I've got no mates. I've realised now.
You've just alienated everyone just so you can watch movies by yourself.
Are you looking forward to the Batman Lego movie on your own?
Do you know what? I might actually have that as a little moment to myself.
Yeah, it's like
you
sort of
should.
like a treat yourself day. You
Yeah.
go on like a little
Yeah.
mandate with yourself and just be like, "Hey, Michael, what do you want? Hey, I'll have one ticket to the Lego movie, please. Would you like popcorn with that? Would I like popcorn? Let me just. Yeah, I think I would. What
Again-
kind of popcorn you want? Well, one sweet, one sour. I'll have a mixed popcorn, please.
Munchbox. So, like, I've got another bad story for you. So, it turns out that going to cinemas on my birthday isn't probably the greatest, especially for like an outing, like a party outing.
I'd find that too stressful.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't organise. Well, I organised like 2 or 3, but the first one I
how old are we
organised.
here?
I'm 12. Okay, imagine me,
right.
12th
Is this the
birthday.
hand job one?
Saying the hand job one, right? Imagine my 12th birthday. Okay, just chilling, like, oh yeah, love Pokemon and stuff.
Couldn't organise anything when I
My
was
mum
12.
and my dad were like, okay, we've got some friends coming over. They got some kids, and you know, you can bring some friends with you. We're gonna go to the cinema. I was like, yeah, sweet. Can't wait to see what's at cinema. Ended up watching 20 Weeks Notice. I don't know if you guys have ever seen it.
What on earth is that?
20 Weeks Notice has, what's her name?
Hugh
in it?
Grant, the 2 weeks notice, I think you'll find it's
Yeah,
called.
that one, the 2 Weeks
Yeah,
Notice.
that's probably not the best film as a 12-year-old to watch.
Yeah, exactly.
Hugh Grant and Sandra Bullock, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the exact
Yeah.
one. I was 12 with a group of people, and I was like, oh, I'm sorry, guys. I mean, it's my birthday, but please try and enjoy it. And I forced myself to enjoy that film. So now if I do watch it, I kind of like it, but I shouldn't.
You have a nice
Good
memory.
memories,
Of it.
Yeah. And then like the other 2 that I went to go see on my birthday for outings was what? Alice in Wonderland?
I fucking hate that
It's
film. I keep swearing them, so.
It's so, it's okay, I'll help you. It's so shit. It's awful.
Well, the Tim Burton.
one.
Yeah, it's
honestly,
boring as
it was
hell.
awful.
And then the other one was The Road. I don't know if you guys have
I
seen
love The Road.
You like The Road?
With Viggo Mortensen.
It's just a lot of mist. That's all it is.
I love that film.
It's
I think
very
it's
misty.
amazing.
And a kid goes or something. I don't really even remember, but I was bored.
Well,
I think
let's
that's the
agree
one
to
I might have got a
disagree on
Handy
that
J in. I'm not too sure. But
one. Speaking of Handy J's,
Yep.
I want your Handy J story.
Well,
We've been building
back at
up
the
to it.
cinema.
I was 12.
I was 12.
I'm watching 2 weeks notice.
Sandra Bullock and Hugh Grant. No, yeah, it was just
I
standard
invited 8 of my
shit.
friends and they all gave me a
It's
Handy
just
J.
like you go to the back of the cinema, whip your dick out, and then
So
on my own.
There's no anecdote. You're just showing off that you got a hand job
No,
in a
it's
cinema.
just-
That's it.
That's just it.
No awkward interaction.
That-
You're not just
I mean,
like-
why is that not a good moment?
That's what we've been leading up to. You just bragging about having a hand job.
Yeah.
Did you finish?
No,
Oh,
Just
was
scared.
it in Bedford Cinema?
no.
I was gonna say.
Milton Keynes.
Oh,
More
okay,
daft
that's
is
all right.
included.
I've always had this fantasy of getting a hand job in a cinema. For some reason, it's always been maybe that's why I've gone to work in a cinema so I can go in back of screens and touch myself.
and not have to pay for it.
That's not.
Yeah.
Let's not say what cinema we work for, just in case they get onto me. But
They'll probably got a good idea.
But yeah, I've always had this thing of hand job in a cinema. Like I've sort of mentioned it to my girlfriend at the time quite a few times. Like, I really love to do it. So I was watching Her, the film with
Oh, I really like that
Joaquin
film.
Phoenix.
Joaquin
I
Phoenix.
really,
yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a great
Well,
movie.
great film, but I couldn't enjoy it because she thought, I'm going to take this upon myself. I wasn't even on the back row. We were like middle and it was tears. So anyone that was looking down could have seen what was going on. And I was thinking to myself, it's happening. This is amazing.
I'm enjoying this movie too much.
Yeah, but then I was enjoying the film, and then I was conscious people were watching, so I just went no, like stop, and then just no hand job for Mikey. It turned out that it was just a disappointment. I was been looking forward to it for so long, thinking, oh, this would be the thing, but it wasn't always cracked out to be for me.
See, I'd only want to have an awkward sexual encounter in a movie that I didn't really care too much about. I think if I was watching Her,
was
I'd
loving
just be
Her.
like, can you just wait till we get home
Can
or
you
something?
talk to me like her, please?
Yeah. Can you pretend to be Scarlett Johansson? Please?
Yeah.
I would love that. Or even Joaquin Phoenix, who knows?
Yeah, man. He's a good-looking guy.
Another good experience I had was watching Nightcrawler, just because I remember, like, for me, if within the first 2 minutes it can capture you, I know I'm in for a good time. Like, even if it slightly loses you, I'm paying attention. And that film for me, just from the start, the character I just thought was amazing. And I remember walking out and wanting to talk about that film for hours. So that was just a nice.
I've never seen it. Is that bad?
Boo. Watch it.
It is
Yeah?
amazing.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh, and Kick-Ass 2 as well. I remember watching that with my cousin, and we're both superhero fans. And there's a moment when I think they say Justice Forever or something like that. That's sort of like meant to be a take on the Justice League and Avengers type thing. And I remember looking at him going, oh my God, imagine if we were doing this. That's the fantasy of any superhero fan, is like being able to dress up and go out and fight crime. But obviously, that's what I loved about it. It was the naffness. It was like the fact there was a mum and dad that were there that were just trying to get justice for their son and things like that. Like, it wouldn't be in your head as cool as you imagine it to be. It would be shitty little costumes, things like that. And it really like gave me a good feeling. And that night I went out and got decked by a gang of 10. No, I didn't really.
He says decked. Dicked.
Yeah. I was bummed. Yeah.
Wicked.
Yeah, I've got a similar kind of story to that. There's a difference between watching movies at the cinema and then there's a difference between watching movies at home. In some cases, watching a movie at the cinema can be great. It can be magical, and sometimes it can be awful. You know, if you've got people next to you jacking off and talking and you know,
I'm sorry.
yeah. And then you've got stuff at home. You can watch a movie and you can just be in the comfort of your own home and just feel relaxed and not have to worry about what's going on. But then sometimes there's distractions. You've got your phone. You know, you can just nip up to the bathroom. You can pause and stuff like that. And I remember watching the movie Prisoners.
Oh, I love that.
With Hugh Jackman, Jake Gyllenhaal, Terrence Howard, and Paul Dano.
Did you hear that word, Terrence? Yeah, like yeah, Terrence. Yeah.
Terrence.
Yeah.
I'll tell. And I remember seeing the trailer and thinking, oh, that looks quite interesting, but not sort of looking into it too much and just thinking, that's all right. The girlfriend likes Hugh Jackman. She likes Jake Gyllenhaal. She'll enjoy it. She'll have a good time. It's about potential sort of child molestation, so I'll enjoy it. And I just remember just just, it was one of those movies where there could be an apocalypse behind me, there could be people chatting, jacking off, whatever, but I was just so transfixed with what was going on. And I just remember the movie being so tense that the armrests, I just remember grabbing onto them so hard that, like, I remember watching the movie, and after it finished, I just sort of unclenched my hands and had like fingernail marks.
Wow.
And I was just like...
And that was at home you watched it?
No, this was at the cinema.
Oh,
And I think it just kind of took me away from everything, because I think if I watched it at home, I think I would have been distracted by my phone, because it's quite sort of a slow sort of paced movie where a lot it hinges on sort of the tenseness, and that's what I think really gripped me in the cinema. And I was just looking at the huge screen, sort of being engulfed in the sound and the story, and just sitting there and just really feeling what it's supposed to be, rather than just kind of looking out the window or checking out what I've got on Facebook, or just nipping to the loo and not really catching that last 5 minutes. So I think that's the magic of the cinema.
Like that, I think because we're becoming more and more like, we want to look at our phones, we want distractions all the time. Like whenever I watch something on Netflix or Now TV or anything like that, you pause it so frequently. You go and get food, you go and, whereas when you're in a cinema, you're thinking, well, I've paid for this, you're almost forced to pay attention to it, good or bad, whatever the film is. So I do think that there is definitely something to the cinema that makes you enhance your experience. Like if it's a bad film, you think it's even worse because you're thinking, God, when's it going to finish? Things like that. Whereas when you're at home and you're watching a bad film, if I watch a film on Netflix 30 minutes and I go, this is terrible, I'm not watching that. Whereas when you're in a film, you're there, it might end up being a good film. So I definitely think there is a magic.
Yeah, I mean, also like to do with like just going out and like going to the cinema is a good action in itself. Meeting up with friends and that, and then going to watch a film. Because like when you watch a film round someone's house or whatever, you're bound to chat, you're bound to like talk, you're bound to But in the cinema, you can actually just be like, oh, and then come out and be like, yeah, that film was fucking awesome. Yeah. Or vice versa. Oh shit.
And if you're taking a lady on a date, that's 2 hours you don't have to talk to them and have all the conversations, isn't it?
Yeah, that's true.
You go on dates?
Yeah, occasionally, once or twice. And the thing is, the trick is, right, if you're ever going to go on a date again, take them to the movie first and the meal afterwards, so you got something to talk about.
Yeah, that is the trick.
Unless it's a
Do you
really bland movie.
Shut the fuck up during the film, yeah.
Do you know that way I didn't do anything and I just cleared my throat really loudly and he didn't do anything?
Wicked.
Has anybody ever seen any movies in a different country in a cinema?
I think I went to see Asterix and Obelix in France once, but I can't really fucking remember.
Was that... You don't remember the experience?
Not really. I was quite young,
Right.
but I remember going there and it being weird.
I watched Bruno in America.
Oh yeah.
It was a strange experience because I thought I just had this idea of all American cinemas just people hooting and hollering throughout the whole movie, but it wasn't the case. It was very much similar to the UK, but it was such an English movie in America that I don't think a lot of people got it. And I went on sort of like a mandate with my friend who I was out there with. We went and got some Vietnamese food beforehand. Then we watched Bruno, and it was very nice. And I just remember having this image in my mind of people just like shouting things at the screen or like throwing and just being like, oh God. And none of that happened apart from one bit at the end. The credits finished, and one guy just got up and goes, well, that was fucking gay. And I was just like, say what you want, mate. And I was just thinking that was pretty good. I enjoyed the movie, but it was just like, I think he was just like, he had to bolster his manness and just let everybody know that
was a gay film.
Yeah.
I just saw a cock speak to me, so that was gay. Whereas I was just like, chill out, mate. It's fun. There's two dudes making out in an MMA cage. What are you worried about?
Oh man, that caused some ruckus, didn't it?
It did indeed.
Man.
I remember when I was a kid going to see Tarzan with my auntie Gwen. Like I think it was like a nice thing for she was my great auntie Gwen, for her to do, like take her, what have I been to her? Oh my God, great auntie Gwen. I'd been
nephew?
like
Great nephew?
Great nephew, yeah, sorry. Take him out. So I must have been about 8. And I remember being like so embarrassed. I was out with like, oh my God, even with my girl up, my mum was embarrassing for me. And sitting down watching Tarzan thinking, well, at least I'm going to love the Disney, And there were kids from my school that sat down in the next row. And I remember like I couldn't deal with just other people being in a cinema that I knew, like just being mortified. And they said, hello, Michael. And I just sunk in my chair. and just like ask my auntie Gwen, "Can we leave? I can't deal with this." So I think that says more about just how much of an anxious child I was. Just that
100%.
people were like just seeing them ruin my film for me. I even sat with like my hand up, like just don't talk to me. Don't talk.
Good
to me.
film though, isn't it?
It was a good film.
Have you rewatched it since and just felt those emotions again?
Well, I feel guilt whenever I think of it. I wish that I could just go back and just go, "You're right, guys. This is my auntie Gwen."
Yeah.
She'd have gone.
You get over that
"She's
stuff when
cool."
you're older,
Yeah,
don't you? Like, but there is a period of time.
Yeah,
When
you're
you're
just
like
embarrassed.
13 to like 18.
Yeah, I was like 8, and I think it was
maybe,
8 till about 22 that I was just
Really?
embarrassed to be seen with relatives.
Yeah, I suppose that same thing
Yeah.
of like your mum or your dad's dropping you off at school and just like just down the road so I
You did
can
it,
so I can
Mum.
walk in and pretend I walked in, and then just wait for me down the road because I don't want anybody to.
My mum would do that and then beep as she went off. She'd go, "Yeah, that's fine."
Hi, Michael. Have a nice day.
Yeah. Yeah.
That was a good impression.
Right.
Oh, really?
Well, what do you think we should do next?
Well,
Do you think-
I've got one quite nice little story, and
Yeah.
it just goes to show that there are nice people out there, and cinema can be a fun experience. I was watching a movie, and it came to a really quiet bit, and somebody just sneezed, and it was really awkward until somebody just chirped up and went, "Bless you," and the whole cinema just erupted, and it was like the cutest thing. And it made me laugh for about 10 minutes because like that was the best thing ever. Like, and nobody else wanted to say anything or acknowledge it, but somebody was just nice enough to just like, "Bless you," and we all just cracked up, and it was a good time. I don't remember what movie it was, but I just remember that happening. And I just remember it just being the nicest little cute little thing where it's like, "Oh, bless you."
Well, on that little nice little what is it again?
Anchor.
Antidote.
Anecdote.
Anecdote.
And on that nice antidote.
And on that, we thank you for the podcast. I've been Curtis Scott, and over there is
Shaun Crarand, hello, thank you, and goodbye.
and
Michael Seago.
awesome. And I hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll see you guys next time.